So here we are in mid-March. It's a beautiful day on what's actually the spring equinox today. It's first day of spring technically. So I've got a list from Alex here. We're going to go and see what we can go and harvest. He's cooking here later today. So yeah, there should be a few things. It's even though it is a beautiful day, it's been pretty cold over the last few nights. So yeah, see how everything's survived in the polytunnels at the -5 temperatures we've had. It's a pretty exciting time in March because we can really kickstart with all the sowing, and I love the seed sowing. Sort of just putting the seeds in the ground, watching everything grow. It's pretty exciting. So yeah, I like doing all of that, and then getting the first things in the ground. We should be planting the first lot of broad beans pretty soon. So that's the first new crop going in the ground this year, which is quite exciting. So yeah, it's all go in March really. This is going to be the first harvest of the asparagus. It's just starting to poke through. We're quite lucky that we have it inside in a polytunnel, because normally you would not get asparagus this early. So we've got a few shoots poking up. I'm going to leave that one, it's a little bit small. And that one might just be 2 today. There's another one further down there. So these ones are a little bit small, they're just kind of poking up through, but if we have a look at this one here, this one's kind of perfect. You want a good sort of 4 inches or so, but yeah, probably about that much, and then you cut it just below the surface. And then hopefully they should all start growing more. You can just see tiny little bits coming through. They'll take a few more weeks yet. So this one on the right is regular, it's called Gingim asparagus. It's a green kind. And we're going to do the same in the bed on the other side. It's going to be a new bed of asparagus. And this one is going to be white asparagus. So that just means we have to, it's the same variety, but you just mound it over, and it's the dark keeps it white. But these will take 3 years before we can harvest anything off them, because asparagus takes quite a long time to be ready. So this one's been in, this will be its 3rd year, I think, for this lot. So should be lots this year. So in this polytunnel we've got, these are overwintering onions, so we put those in October, and you can harvest them now as salad onions, or you can let them bulb up and harvest them in about June time, but the restaurants tend to prefer them as salad onions. And then it's the last of the kale. It's about to go to seed. It's this warm weather's just finishing it off, so we get a couple more harvests off that, and then it'll be clear in the bed and something else to go in there. They're just kind of almost like spring onions. I don't want them too big for now, but I mean they're kind of good at any size. So once they're sort of about pencil thick, anytime from then you can just harvest them. Because you can use them so early, it's definitely one of the earlier ones. That and sort of the overwintering leaves are the only things that really we have this time of year. I mean, they do call it the hunger gap, so there's not a lot until May, when everything really kicks off. That's sort of when all the new produce comes in. So it's kind of, because even in March and April, when the weather seems to be getting better, you'd think you'd have lots more produce, but it's still the hunger gap, still waiting for things to grow. Alex has got all sorts on his list today. So we've got salad onions, we've got some asparagus, so I think we'll go and get some herbs. Maybe a bit of spinach. Just put the gate back on to stop the rabbits getting in. The spinach is looking quite good. We've got 2 different varieties in here, which is why they look a bit different. This spiky one's called Matador, and then this one's a more of a winter variety, so it's quite hardy, which is why the leaves are a bit thicker, because it withstands the frost a bit better. It's just quite hard to harvest because it cooks down to nothing, so it's kind of hard to know how much to get. But we'll get a few leaves. Yeah, it's gone through the winter quite well. Sometimes it looks a bit worse after all the cold weather, but it's doing quite well, I think. I tend to just take a few leaves off each plant, and then it's got enough energy to keep going. We kind of treat it like a cut and come again plant, so we can keep it going for as long as possible and get lots of cuts off it. So you kind of want to take no more than a quarter at this time of year off each plant, so that it has enough energy to keep growing. So we've got 2 lots of herbs. We've got some outside and some inside. The outside ones are taking quite a bit longer, but that's normal. I think we'll leave the fennel, that needs a bit longer to grow. The more tender ones go inside. We've got things like oxalis, which wouldn't really grow outside very well. But more it's kind of about having a little bit in and a little bit out, just so we can get an earlier harvest. But some things like this salad bonnet just gets through the winter absolutely fine. So we'll get a bit of salad bonnet. This has a nice cucumbery taste. It's quite popular in, people put it in cocktails. It's nice with gin. This is caraway, so we'll get some of this as well. It's still quite young. I mean, when it really gets going, it gets to about this tall, but it's okay to harvest it at this size. I think most things are kind of better when they're a bit smaller anyway. They're usually a bit more tender and sometimes milder, but it doesn't matter so much with the herbs. So we've got a bit of spinach, some herbs, salad bonnet, a bit of caraway, some nice salad onions, and our the lone 2 asparagus stalks. Oh, we forgot the chives. We'll get a few chives because I walked right past those before. In a couple of months these will be really tall and they'll be full of purple chive flowers, which we'll harvest for Alex because he really likes the chive flowers. And they're really good for the bees as well, so it's really nice to see all the bees flying around and buzzing around on them. Right. Right, we definitely had sorrel and some garlic chives on the list, and they're in here, so we'll grab a few of those. So these ones are garlic chives, so they're quite similar to the chives we just harvested, but they've got a much more garlicky taste to them, and they've got like a flatter leaf. And they have a nice white flower, which you can also eat as well when they get a bit bigger. But they're a perennial, so you can just kind of cut them down and then they just keep coming back again. You just have to make sure that you let some of the flowers drop their seeds so that you get new plants without really having to do anything yourself. And you get a few more. And we'll get a little bit of sorrel. And I think that might be it for the herbs for today. These again are really small. At this time of year, they're just starting to kind of come through. So when the season gets going, they'll get really big. But you can still eat them when they're this small. Right, that should do. And then we'll get out of here because it's getting really hot in here. Here we go. We've got quite a good selection of things considering the time of year, really. So we've got some spinach, some nice oriental leaves with a bit of colour, some salad onions, quite a few different herbs. We've got some chives, some garlic chives, some salad bonnet, some caraway, some sorrel, and then the first 2 asparagus stalks, which we're very lucky to get at this time of year. But yeah, considering this is the hunger gap where we've finished most of the winter produce, and now we're moving on to waiting for all the stuff that we've sown in the greenhouse now to then go out and be ready. So.
But it's sunny now, so we should get.
Yes, well, we do call this a spring of deception, so I'm sure we're going to get some bad weather soon. So yeah, we'll enjoy it while it lasts, but I'm sure it'll turn again quite soon.
It's up here now when the sun is shining.
Yeah.
There's some greenery.
Yeah, it makes us feel lucky to be outside this time when it's like this. But I mean, we had -5 last night, so we can't.
One of the guys told me it was like -2 this morning when he was walking the dog.
Yeah. I mean, I had to fleece everything in the greenhouse because it was so cold. I was really worried for the tomato plants. But yes, we'll enjoy it while it lasts. And yeah, we've got some lovely produce which has survived the winter, and the first 2 asparagus stalks. So
it's amazing. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
That's okay. No worries.
Done.